Hey guys, for this video, we're going to be discussing lesson 7.3, which has to do with inverse functions. And what I want you guys to do is have your own sheet of paper out or your notebook, wherever you would normally take notes. And I want you guys to be writing down what I'm doing and using that as your notes, because your textbook is doing an explore activity, and I really want you guys to understand this lesson fully. And the best way, I think, to really understand this lesson is by actually doing it yourself. And so I'm going to be giving you guys examples and showing you step by step what it is you should be doing. Okay, so take out a sheet of paper and a pencil and a calculator if you need it, and go ahead and let's begin. Alright, so first things first, with inverse functions, our essential question for this lesson says, how can you find the inverse of a linear function? So it's very basic, very straightforward. And so our first thing that we're going to do is this example. Now, when you're doing an inverse function, okay, or when you're trying to find the inverse of a function specifically, okay, your first thing that you want to do is replace f of x with y. Okay, so I'm going to start off by writing y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Okay, once I have that, my next step is I want to go ahead, and I'm sorry that the camera is focusing right now, it's being really weird, but my next step is to go ahead and flip my x and y value. So I'm going to just switch those. So I'm going to put x equals 1/2 y plus 3. Okay, so notice I didn't do anything except just switch that. Now, so here we replaced f of x with y, and then here just switch x and y. Okay, and now our next step is to solve for y. Okay, so we want our y to be by itself. So this is something that we've already done before. So what you want to do now is subtract your 3 from both sides. Okay, so my 3's cancel out and I have x minus 3. Those are not like terms, so I'm going to leave it as x minus 3. And now I have 1/2 y on this side. Now, in order for me to get my y by itself, I need to cancel out this fraction. And so the way to cancel out that fraction is by multiplying by the reciprocal. Now, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So I'm going to multiply everything by positive 2. Okay, so this fraction cancels out with that 2. And now I have 2 times x gives me 2x. And 2 times negative 3 gives me negative 6. Okay, so now that I've solved for y, all I need to do now is use my function notation of f of -1, because that's showing me that it's the inverse of x equals 2x minus 6. And now this right here, oops, sorry, I totally went right through that 6. But that right there is going to be my answer. Okay, so you have the inverse of x equals to 2x minus 6. Okay, now let's go ahead and do another one. If I give you f of x equals 3x minus 12. If I want to find my inverse function, remember my very first step is to replace my f of x with y. And so I have y equals 3x minus 12. Then I'm going to go ahead and flip those. So I have x equals 3y minus 12. And now I want to get my y by itself. So I want to now add 12. That cancels. I have x plus 12 equals 3y. I divide everything by 3 because I want my y by itself. And so x over 3 turns into 1/3 x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And this gives me y. Oops, sorry, I didn't notice you guys were out of focus there. Okay, so now that's my new equation, but now remember I want to write it in function notation, and because we're dealing with an inverse, I have f of -1x equals 1/3 x plus 4. Okay? And that is your answer for that. Okay? So it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. I don't think it's too difficult. That's basically your entire lesson. There's not a whole lot going on here. All you need to know how to do is this right here. Okay? You need to be able to solve for y, and that's basically it. So I'm going to go now really quickly and switch into your textbook. Okay? Now here, this is the function that we just did. Okay? Notice right here, 1/3 x plus 4. Okay? And that's this one right here, 1/3 x plus 4. Now this is on page 229 of your textbook. Okay, and the question for this was to find and graph the inverse function. Okay, so we already did our step 1, which is to get our inverse function. Now, our second step is to actually graph it. And so you want to make a function table in order to do that. And so here they went ahead and they chose x values that would basically cancel out this fraction. Okay, whenever you have a fraction and you're trying to create a function table, your best bet is to use common denominators. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write that in here so that you guys...
Anthony Montero, please report to the activities office. Anthony Montero, please report to the activities office. Thank you.
Sorry about those announcements. So using the common denominators is what's going to help you to cancel out that fraction. Okay, so if you have -6, then here, when you substitute that, you have -6 times 1 is -6, and then divide by 3, you get -2. Okay, so this turns into -2, and -2 plus 4 gives you +2. Okay, when you substitute 0, obviously this cancel out, and you have 4. And now over here, 1/3 times 3, well, these 3's can cross simplify. And so you have 1 plus 4, and that's how you get 5. So it's much easier to use numbers that will cancel out that fraction, okay? And so going back to this original function here, you have 3x minus 12. And so the graph of this line is already here in blue, and now you can't really tell, but if you were to continue going down here, this intercept is that -12, and so you have a slope of +3. Okay, so if you used this point and this point here just to verify, you have to go up 3 and to the right 1. Okay, so that's this line here. Now when you go to graph this line, you go -6 and 2, so that's going to be over here, and then you have 0 and +4, and then you have 3 and +5. So your 3 is going to be somewhere here in the middle and around over here. Okay, so they went ahead and they graphed it. Now notice that they labeled it. Okay, f of x is equal to 3x minus 12 is your blue line, and then your inverse function given by that -1 is this green line. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's do this one together. Okay, so we're going to do question number 4, and I'm going to go ahead and erase my little dry erase board here, and we're going to do that together. So it's asking us to graph f of x equals 1/2 x minus 1, and we want the inverse of that. So we have f of x equals 1/2 x minus 1. Okay, so remember, first step, change that to a y. So we have y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Flip your x and y now. So we have x equals 1/2 y minus 1. So now get your y by itself. Add 1 to both sides. This cancels. You have x plus 1. And you have your 1/2 y. Now, get rid of that fraction by multiplying by the inverse. Okay, now this fraction cancels out. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is 2. And you have your y. Now write it as a function notation. So we have f of -1x equals 2x plus 2. Now, in order to graph that, we need to create a function table. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a function table over here. And so I have 2x plus 2 and my y value for that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to choose 3 numbers, or I'm going to actually do 4 numbers. So I'm going to do -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so -1 times 2 gives me -2, and -2 plus 2 gives me 0. And then over here I have 2 times 0 plus 2. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. And then 2 times 1 gives me 2, and 2 plus 2 is 4. And then so on. Oop, I put a 4 there. So this is 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 gives me 6. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and graph that. So if I plot that over here, I'm going to have -1, 0. So my -1 and 0 is right there. And then I have 0, positive 2. So I have 0, positive 2. And then I have 1 and 4. So 1, and then actually this graph is not increasing by 1s as I thought. My bad. So this is increasing by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is increasing by 2s. Okay, so I apologize for that. So this -1 is actually going to be here in the middle, and then my 0, 2 is going to be right here. Okay, so which means that my +1, 4 is going to be right around here, and then my 2, 6 is going to be here, and then I have 2, 4, 6. Okay, and then that's going to be my line this way. Okay, I'm not using a ruler. Hopefully you guys are using rulers. And that is going to be my graph there. And then I'm going to label it with the equation that we got. Okay, so we got f of -1x equals 2x plus 2. Okay, so that's your entire lesson. Your homework, make sure that you guys are completing your guided practice. Okay, and that's it. So I hope you guys understood this video. Again, as usual, any questions that you have, please make sure to ask me or whoever your math teacher is. We are more than happy to help you guys. All we want for you guys is to understand. Any questions you have, ask us or email us. All right, and have a great day, guys. Bye.